Wonderful. Hello, joyful feminist. This is Mary, and I am here today, and we're going to have such a fun chat. So, today, our topic is elevate your home, elevate your life. And we have the lovely Jennifer Flanders here. And Jennifer has been in the interior design industry for like 25 years. She has so much experience and she has such a passion and love for this. And so we get to talk about expanding your horizons when you think about interior design. So, Jennifer, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Jennifer Flanders. I am a residential interior designer. My practice is based in New York, but I really have designed all over the country. And I really believe that living in a home that is mindfully designed can dramatically change your life. So my entire practice is based on that.
Yay. So let us know if you have any questions for her so that we can put any of your questions into practice. I'm just checking to see for
Yeah.
questions. So, all right. So there is so much we can talk about here. So why don't you start us off? Like when we think about elevating your home and elevating your life, where do you think people go initially when they're thinking?
So I feel like most people think of design as sort of fluffy. Let's make my home pretty. They head right to Pinterest. Maybe they put a Pinterest board together, which is actually a great idea. I'm not saying nothing negative about that. I actually have all of my clients work on Pinterest. It's a great way to motivate you and to sort of create this visual that you really want to then strive for. But I feel like people are missing sort of the vital element when they just get right to I need a desk. Let me go buy a desk. I need, it's more like you want to take a step back and kind of look at the full picture and then connect your home with the goals in your life or the areas in which you want to thrive or where you want to make change. So what we do in our homes, what we bring into our homes, how we live in our homes, how we're able to move around our space is what impacts and supports or hinders our ability to reach our goals. So, really tying, just changing your mindset, thinking about your home as a tool that can powerfully transform your life. And when you kind of get that, like get that nugget and really like let that sink in, and then start thinking about your home as a space that can elevate your life.
So I think that this is such a, I mean, it's an amazing topic no matter when, right? But right now, we've all been stuck in our homes for about a year, who knows
Yeah,
how much longer. And so, like, it's even more timely than ever, right? Because it's probably, like you're saying, if it's going to elevate our lives or keep us stuck, like, we are feeling that stuckness so acutely in so many different areas. And then if your home is where you are all the time, right? You don't even go to a physical, place for work, you're sort of stuck in it. So let's kind of dive in there because I'm sure like that's where you get questions all the time. Like, what are the things that I need to think about in order to even, you know, elevate my home when I'm living in it? Like,
right,
some
right,
people think they have to move out or, I mean, there's some crazy things that go through our heads. So
right.
tell us whatever you think would be important, especially to start us off when we're all at home, stuck, looking at the Pinterest board, thinking, oh, if only I had was made of money.
Yes, yes. Well, I would say a couple of things. The first is take a step back, and you don't need to look at the whole house at once. I would start with the room that is going to most powerfully impact your life on a day to day basis. And that could mean different things for different people. It's definitely going to be different rooms for different people. So, is it the room that you spend the most time in? Or maybe it's the room you avoid spending time in because the current state of it is so awful that you never want to be there. So, I can tell you from my own life that in my old apartment, which was very small, I had an office space at home that was actually also my college aged daughter's bedroom, and we just like that was there was no choice around me using that space. And there were moments when it was really beautifully put together and everything was neat and clean, and then there were times when it was just overrun with stuff, and whenever it was overrun I never wanted to sit at my desk, and it really hindered my ability to really succeed in my business the way that I wanted to. So looking at the room that would most powerfully impact your life to take your life to the next level in an area that is a priority to you. So, not looking at everything at once. I think it can be really overwhelming for people when they're like, oh, well, everything in my house needs to be redone. You don't need to tackle it that way. One room at a time, one corner of a room at a time. It doesn't even have to be the whole room. So I would say that's the first thing. And then I would say the second thing is that I think, to your point, most people think I'm not made of money. I can't even pretend to embark on a design project in my home because I don't have the finances for it. There are things that you can do that can cost you next to nothing that can make a huge difference in your home. So, a couple of examples. One, I know it's not fun, but it's clearing away your clutter. So when you have clutter in your home, you create chaos in your home. Chaos in your home is chaos in your life. There's just no way about it. There's clutter in your home, creates stress, it creates anxiety. Even if it's not something that you're cognizant of, it's there. The stuff in your home that's not serving you, that is just taking up space, you need to get rid of that stuff. Getting rid of that stuff actually really transforms the energy in your space, not just your physical space. So letting go of things that weigh you down, letting go of things that feel heavy to you. Like I'll give you a really good example. I have a decluttering program that I run. It's a 4-week program, and we declutter together on a weekly basis as a group. So there's a ton of accountability and a ton of support. And I remember one day, one of my participants started to talk about how she had all these old journals and she wasn't sure what to do with them. And that's a tricky one because, do they take up a ton of space? Not necessarily. But do they take up a ton of mental energy? Yes. And are they filled with negative thoughts of things that you were dealing with in the past? Sure. And maybe to an extent you think, oh, well, maybe I want to keep them because I might want to read them and then remember how far I came. You know how far you came. You don't need to keep that stuff in your house. That's the kind of stuff that actually makes you feel bad, or it's just full of negative energy. You just want to clear it out. So we're trying to create these environments that are going to help us thrive. That means they make us happy, they bring us peace, they inspire us, they give us energy. Anything that doesn't do that does not belong in your home. That's it. So the decluttering, something that you can do that doesn't have to cost a penny. It does take time. And I know that, like, if you're a business person like I am, you equate time with money, but it'll be like the best time you ever spent, because the minute you get rid of that clutter, it's like you all of a sudden feel like you have more time in your life.
Yep.
And then the other thing, another big one, does cost a little bit of money, but it's painting your home. So painting a room. Now, I'm not one who paints my own space because I've tried it before and I'm really bad at it. And I know a lot of people who will come in and do it for me for not a lot of money, but I know a lot of people who paint their own rooms, and all you have to pay for then is the paint and a roller, a paintbrush. It's not an expensive thing to do to create enormous change in a room. Changing the color just dramatically changes the way a room feels, the way it looks. So these things don't have to cost as much money as you think to make impact in your life. Maybe it's like moving a piece of furniture from one room to another. Maybe you rethinking your floor plan, shuffling things around, creating breathing room. People often think like, I need to use all my space and like I've got a blank corner. What do I fill it with? I would say don't fill it with anything. It doesn't, every corner doesn't need to be filled up. So again, you can change your home without having to spend $1 million.
Okay, so I love all of this. The thing that I am thinking about is this beginning, like, entry point when you talk about you had this room. It was a dual purpose room where, the college age daughter would use it when she was around, and otherwise it was your office, right? And sometimes it felt good, sometimes it didn't feel good. So I'm assuming that over 50 to 75% of the people watching and just people living these days, like, they are dual purposing the
Yes.
heck out of everything, right?
Yes.
So what would you say for somebody who's like, yep, well, that's exactly where I'm at right now. Like, I'm shoved into my bedroom with my office space and my workspace. How do they create like a safe haven where you can actually focus and work besides just keeping it tidy? Like, what would you recommend besides keeping it tidy, how to use that space if that's the only space that they have, or maybe that's the only space they think they have.
Right. Well, so to your point, actually, sometimes it is the only space they have, right? And so then you have to make the most of it. So you want to assess what are things in that room that maybe can leave the room. They don't necessarily have to leave your house. I mean, we're hoping maybe one day we are able to actually leave the house for work. So, but things need to move around. You can't thinking that you can take a piece of furniture and put it into a space without taking something out. Usually, unless you've got a really big room, it doesn't work well that way. So something has to go. When you bring something in, you need to move something out. So it seems like a trite answer to say, well, just get rid of stuff. And I know that that's very hard for some people, but it probably is the thing that you do actually need to do. And it's not tidy and organized are different than organizing a space is different than decluttering a space. So organizing a space is putting everything in order and having everything in the right place. I find that most people I speak with say to me, I have an organization issue. And when I really look at what's going on in their home, I say to them, no, you have a clutter issue. It just doesn't look like a clutter issue to you because it doesn't look like a hoarder's paradise or like piles of things everywhere, but you have stuff in your space that you don't need. You have stuff in your space that you don't use. And most importantly, you have stuff in your space that's not serving you and helping you elevate your life. So there is a really good chance that though you might not be able to see it, there's stuff that you can get rid of in that space to make room. And when I say room, room is like physical space, but it's also this mental space. So like you might think the stuff that I have in my closet is not impacting my workspace in my bedroom. But if that closet is like the type of closet where if you open the door, everything is going to come tumbling out, it's just like it's there even though you can't see it. So clearing physical space is the same thing as clearing mental energy and mental space. So there's that. Then the other thing is, to your other point, there may be another space in your home that you haven't considered. Take a real inventory of what's going on in your home. Is there a better space that I can be working in? The pros and cons of having to put your desk in your bedroom are this. You sleep in that room. So you're wanting to create a tranquil environment at night. And it's really hard when you are dual purposing, when do I shut off my work? And when does this become my sanctuary, my space to decompress? You wake up in the morning and you feel like compelled to sit right down at the desk rather than maybe engage in a morning ritual or something that's going to help you ease more into your day. You just need to become more vigilant with your rituals and with your routines when you are in a situation where you have your desk in your bedroom. And truth be told, the positive part of that is that you should be doing those things anyway, even if your desk is somewhere else, even if you work outside of the home. Creating a routine that is self-care in the morning, first thing, and self-care at night, right before you go to bed, those things you want intact all the time. But you need it intact when you have your office space in your bedroom. So I think it helps you in some ways set up a better self-care routine.
I would agree. Or, either you just continue to limp along or you just hunker down and really dedicate yourself to that routine, because the routines and the rituals really make a difference.
Yeah.
You love it. So let's just talk about this idea of being intentional, like intentional with your living space, intentional with how you operate within your home. I know that you said that was a really important thing. Can you just share, like, when you think about design and you think about like getting someone's house to feel like in more flow, feel more ease, whatever it is they're looking to create, probably it's not the same probably for everyone, but what do you like to help people consider with this intentionality?
So whenever I start a project, it could be a single room, it could be a whole house. We always start with the conversation about where do you see yourself in your life? Not right now as you're living it, unless things are like absolutely perfect. And if you're the type of person who has an absolutely perfect life, you're probably also the type of person who's always striving for more. So it's, where do you want your life to be? How do you want to be living? What are the goals that you want to achieve? And then how can I create an environment that's going to support that? So you're really thinking about these things as you're embarking on the process of planning what your room is going to be like, or what your home is going to be like, and how it's going to serve you. And constantly going back to that, like you're really like continuing to touch on that when you are going through this whole process. Is this thing that I'm bringing into my home meeting those needs? Is it meeting my ability to elevate my life? So it's just really all about the consciousness around the purchases and or the purging, all around, like, is this thing connected to the life that I am saying I want to live? Are
Right.
my actions in terms of what I'm bringing into my home or how I'm organizing my home in alignment with this life that I say I want to live? So that's really
So,
it.
okay, something that came to mind, right? So let's say that you desire to be very intentional and then you live with another person, or maybe you live with several people, right? So, because I can think about for experience, right? Like, oh, we need a desk, or oh, we need this, we need that. Well, let's just grab that, right? And I know for my own, like, I don't want that. Like, I know what I want, but that's not what I want,
Right.
and then you end up compromising and you get the thing, and then you kind of can't stand the thing for like, there's just so much energy about that, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
always there versus, oh, what a nice, like, piece in my house versus,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that's that thing that we bought over at IKEA or wherever, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Well, I will tell you, that's a very tricky dynamic. I work with a lot of couples and families, and the husband and wife dynamic sometimes is really tough. And I think that that's kind of like anything in life, though, like anything in life where you might not be in a total alignment, but what you're talking about is just so visually in your face, like, right? You're looking at it. So it's challenging. I mean, you've got to compromise. You do have to compromise. So it's, you know, if you're feeling like, if you're the person who has control, not control over, but let's say like you're somebody who has the more of the aesthetics in hand with respect to your home, like it would be me in my home. It doesn't mean that other people in my home don't have an opinion. So it's just that it's that kind of that little dance that you have to do. But take control over it. If somebody needs a desk and you're not going to like what they're going to pick, be there with five other options. I mean, that would be the only thing that I would say. Like, it's like anything else. It does take compromise, and you do what you can do. It's tricky.
so do you ever sprinkle in some, like, well, it isn't a bad idea to maybe sit on it once you've seen, like, like, if you go shopping and you come up with, okay, we need to fill the house because we are just buying a new house and we need to, get this couch and that couch and whatever, all the objects, right? What would you recommend for people, like, when they're taking that endeavor on? Like, should they just kind of get it all at the same time because they're seeing it all visually together at the same time, or should they maybe take a breath and say, okay, we've seen this and we've seen this? Like, what would the
There's
recommendation be?
definitely not a one size fits all for that. So I would say a lot of that often has to do with the budget and how much somebody has to invest at any given point in time. So I have clients who I will purchase the entire home for in one fell swoop, and then it gets all delivered at one time, and we put the whole thing together, and it's like, bam, new house. And then I have others that we need to do room at a time because that's what their finances allow. And for some people, it might be I can do one piece of furniture at a time. In all of those scenarios, my recommendation is that you want to start with the plan. And that can be frustrating for some people because they're like, I just want to buy the desk and be done with it. Or I just want to buy the new sofa and then I'll worry about it. And then, or someone will say, this is actually a really good one. I want to paint the room. I want to pick my paint color, paint the room, and then I'm going to worry about what's going in the room. It's one of the biggest mistakes you can make because it's so hard to back like then to back into that with your furniture, well, you pick the paint color on the wall. Now I have to find the rug. Does it match the paint color? Now I've got to find the sofa. Does it coordinate with the paint color? Now I have to find all these things. And I don't know if they work with the paint color. Whereas if you had spent just even a week, so sort of like culling through some options so that you know what your design direction is, then the choices that you make are not choices that you might have to undo. So that
Mm.
actually is like the way, and that can be the conversation that you have if you're living with somebody who is like pushing you to make the decision. You can't drag it out forever. That's not fair to that person either. But you can say, I need a couple of days to figure out what my plan is so that when you buy that thing, it's going to work, you know, a year from now. I don't want to turn around, a month from now or 6 weeks from now and say, you know what, that desk doesn't work with everything else we're now planning on doing in this room. We either just wasted money, or I have to change my design direction, or get rid of stuff. And getting rid of stuff is often not just about the money. Like, I mean, this is for me how I feel, because I work with people all the time who are getting rid of stuff. I don't care if you spent $50 on the desk. That desk now is going to end up in a landfill, or it's like that, being very environmentally aware when you're making these quick purchases for your home. You want to buy things that are going to last you for at least a period of time so that you're not adding to an environmental disaster. I mean, that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah. So it sounds like you've worked with so many different kinds of people. What would you say, there's certain times of life too, right? So like I'm thinking about a mom who has little kids, and little kids come with lots of stuff.
Yes.
How do you help them navigate this idea of not only being intentional, but allowing for that space and time and ritual and routines that moms need, don't, just need so desperately so that they can feel like a human and not
Yeah.
just like a mom. Like how would you help them, or what would you recommend to them to navigate? Because sometimes you can't get rid of the clutter. It feels like that. And maybe I'm wrong because I have young children. But like, what would you recommend?
So I would say in that situation, actually, this arises a lot. And even if it's not my clients, but I hear this a lot from, women that I'm in communication with. My kids are grown, so I'm not dealing with the toys anymore, but I remember that time. It would, for you, the mom with young kids, it would be really important for you to have a space of your own that is kid free, or free of the kids stuff. You need a retreat. So the expectation when you have young children should never be everything's going to look perfect all the time, or I'm going to have space that's clutter free. But do you have a bedroom that you can retreat to that doesn't have any of your kids' stuff in? Do you have a corner of a room that like you can go and sit in and meditate and regroup and do what you need to do? So it's just making sure that you have a space in your home that you would consider your sanctuary, so that you can go like regroup when you need to, and don't feel like your entire life and your entire home has been overtaken by your kids. It's a period of time in your life. It passes. But during that time, if you want your focus to be that you're at your best when you're dealing with your kids, and you're the strongest that you can be, you need to find peace of your own. So it's having the space in your home that allows you to do that. So that's what I would say. I wouldn't say, oh, well, I can help you magically, make your home all the time look amazing and, not overrun with your kids' stuff. I just don't think that's a realistic way of looking at life. But I think it's very possible for you to find a piece of sanctuary in your own home.
I agree, and I think that it's really important. But that's also just because I can't stand if my bedroom even has like a couple toys in it. I'm like,
Yeah.
these don't belong here. These are not for. And they're like, why don't you want
Toy-free zone.
don't you want to snuggle with these guys? Like, no, I have no interest. Get them out of here.
Exactly.
Okay, so yeah, so tell me, this has been your life's work, and now it's it sounds like this way of elevating your life, like it sounds like it's coming from a very heart-centered way, versus just like, of course you'll elevate your life. Like it sounds like you feel that there is so much energy about this. And so how do you see people, like, when they start to allow themselves to declutter, allow themselves to be more intentional with designing their home, or, removing things and getting different things, like, how do you see them elevating? Like, because I think you mentioned it's in multiple areas, right? It's not just like, oh, your house feels really nice and been there, done that. That's, we're locked up, finished.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that breathes life into lots of places. So can you share, like, how you've seen people grow, or what you've
Yeah.
seen happen?
Yeah. So I actually, I have a recent example. I ran a 4-week decluttering course in November, and one of the women who was in the course she's working from home like everybody else, and she's got her day job. And then she also has a second business that she's in the launch process of. And her home office was a wreck. I made everyone send me pictures at the beginning of the course because I wanted to see, like, what level of clutter are we dealing with, and if I can see what's going on in your space, I can direct you as to where to get started. And when she worked her way through the clutter, then she was like, oh, you know what? I actually want to redo the space. And now and she just like threw it out to me. I'm going to repaint my walls, this color or this color. And then I directed her as to what to do. She now has picked out all this new furniture for her space. She repainted, new rug, the whole thing. She's so excited to get to work in this space. It's transforming her business because she's excited now to sit down and work. So I can directly see, it's like a direct correlation between the work that she did in that room to her excitement level about working every day, and the new energy that she has for launching this new business. So, so there's that. It's it can be really direct like that. I have another woman right now who I'm working with who wants to transform this living space in her home, that they don't like going into it all because they had very dark paneled walls in the room, and she's not happy with the furniture. We've discussed a whole plan, and part of the plan, when we talk about the plan, is how do you see yourself living in the space and how do you want to use the space? And she envisions it as this space that when it's done, like, she'll be so excited to have her loved ones come over. Now, we don't know when that's going to be possible, but it's that, like, now is the time. Plan for what you want when, like, the world opens back up. Don't you want people, the minute people can come over, don't you want them to come over?
Yes, I do.
And don't you want to
So
feel
very much.
excited about having them in your space? So it's like,
Mhm.
I can see the transformation in these people that I'm working with, and it's so cool. Like, they get excited about their homes. They want to share their homes. They want to, like, so you see relationships open up. You see your work life open up. If you're somebody who is struggling with maybe your health or your nutrition, and you work on a space in your home, whether it's your kitchen or your dining area or whatever, where you can sit down for a healthy meal, create a healthy meal, like, it changes your life. It's when you make the connection between the room and your goal, and you start to do the work. And then I see it when I'm working with people. I see them just start to get really excited about their space. It makes all the difference in the world. Their whole mindset shifts. Like, their mindset goes from, I'm not sure that I can do this thing in their life, lose the weight, find a partner, have quality time with my kids, to, oh my God, like, I just opened up all these possibilities.
Yeah. So I think, if we kind of pinpoint the clutter as, like, easy win, right? It's an easy
Yeah.
win. If we just tackle the clutter, like, so much will become very clear.
Yes.
So I mean, so much comes up. I mean, we've seen shows, right? We've got the Marie Kondo, there's, like, the death cleaning, that I haven't watched them all. I'm not, like, actually into that. I mean, I like it fine, um, but yeah, so this idea of tackling the clutter, there's so much emotion that comes up
Yes.
through it all, and, like, it can get you so stuck and stalled. I say that from personal experience too. So how do you recommend, and obviously you have a 4-week course, right?
Yes.
How would you recommend people go, like, if they're like, okay, I want to just do this now. I've been listening to this little session, and now I'm like, I'm gonna go tackle a bedroom or a closet or something. What would you recommend when looking at clutter? What's like a real basic thing that they could consider to actually move the needle so they actually get rid of the clutter versus just keep staring at it and say, I'll do it another day?
Right. So, I mean, number one, like you really need to set yourself up for success. And so, meaning like, don't think you're going to manage like 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. It doesn't work like that. You need to set aside a 4 hour minimum chunk of time. So, it does mean actually scheduling it and being really intentional with your schedule and prioritizing it. So, like, I generally say a Saturday, mostly Saturday, because I feel like people have energy on Saturday. Sunday, people like to rest. Saturday morning, you don't want to save it for the afternoon. You never want to schedule it at a time when like there's a chance something else is going to come along or like the day is going to get going and then you peter out, you lose energy, whatever. So Saturday mornings, 4 hour minimum chunk of time, you set it aside. If you've got children, you have your partner take care of the kids or your mom comes over or whatever. You let everybody know in your family, like if you are, if you have to do that, this is what I am doing. It's going to help all of us. I'm not asking you to do the work, but I need you to let me do the work and don't interrupt me during that time. You not only then are accountable to your partner and your family for getting that work done, but they won't bother you. And so you just get to do what you need to do. And then when you start to get going, you want to create what I call a visual win for yourself, meaning like don't start with the closet or don't start with the drawer. Because if you get the closet done and you get the drawer done and then you walk into the room, you don't visually see that something has changed. You want to start with like a pile that's on, the pile of clothing that's on the chair or the pile of papers that's on the table, like things that when you leave the room and then you come back in later, you're like, it does look different. So it's just like the what you can see being it just needs to be, it needs to like bam, you notice that it's done. So you're like, all that time I spent, I see where my work went. So those are like two big ones. With respect to the letting go of things, because that's like something that people really have a hard time with. There's so much guilt around stuff that we either spent money on or people gave us as gifts or that we inherited that we feel like we can't let go of stuff. You can go through this whole process of, I do this whole gratitude practice. I actually teach about this in my course, but I'm doing a free 3-day decluttering challenge next week. So I can drop information about that. People can come in and they'll learn more about these tips. But I'll do a gratitude practice where it's like you're giving a blessing to the thing that you're going to let go of. It served you in some way, shape, or form. And it can be as basic as somebody loved me enough to give me this thing. I don't really like it, but there was some goodness behind it being given to me. I appreciate it. I appreciate them. Let's get it out. Okay.
I love that.
So, you can do that with anything. It could even be like that thing that you bought that you were excited about because it was on sale and you never used it. And so you feel like horrible about it. How can I let it go? I never even opened it up. I appreciate that I had the money to purchase that thing when I purchased it. And now I'm ready to let it go. So I do this whole gratitude practice around like the stuff that's really hard to let go of. And the other thing is like, some of it is just also like, trust me when I say the minute it is out of your house is like the last minute you ever think about that thing. So it feels so hard when it's sitting in front of you, but the minute it's like out the door, you really don't think about it anymore. I mean, it really is as simple as that. So those are just a couple.
Yeah, those are fantastic. And I don't know. I think that it's great because that's this idea of having the gratitude for the thing, but then being able to like look at it in those multiple ways of like, I had the money and like how amazing it was that I did that, even though I'm never going to use this thing. Cause there is, depending on how you grew up, especially like I have a lot of that, my mom's from the Depression. So she's like, we got to hold into everything. I've got lots of things. She's like, I know you're just going to get rid of this. I'm like, yes, I am. But, but anyway, so yeah, no, I really appreciate that from so many different angles. Is there anything else that we should, consider or think about when it comes to this, I think one other thing that you really brought up as being important is just reminding ourselves like we don't have to spend an arm and a leg,
Yeah.
and paint does wonders. Is there anything else that you would say, consider looking into this beyond paint, or
Yeah.
consider this when painting?
Well, I would say just generally, and I sort of touched on this before, is creating a plan for your space before you actually do anything, before you pick up the paintbrush, before you buy a piece of furniture. Part of the planning process is putting together a budget for yourself. So you figure out like literally everything that needs to either be done in the room or purchased for the room. And you make a spreadsheet and you line item every single thing and you put a number to it. And that's maybe a harder thing for somebody who's not familiar with what things cost in terms of furniture and or labor to get things done. But sometimes people think, oh, this is going to cost so much, I'm not even going to think about doing this project. But if you actually put pen to paper, maybe it's not as bad as you thought it was. Or maybe you look at it and you're like, you know what, that is really expensive, but now at least you have something concrete to work towards. So if this project is really important to you, if you understood the value of changing this environment for yourself, and now you actually have a dollar amount attached to it, now like I need to save X number of dollars to do this work, or or you manifest it somehow, right? Like I'm sure you believe in all this, but like if I know I need $10,000 to do X project because I want to replace my kitchen cabinets, the money will show up. You just have to know what it is that you're like working towards. If it's completely amorphous and doesn't have any kind of solidity to it because you haven't done the work to figure out what actually it will cost, it just keeps the whole thing at bay. Like it doesn't, you're going to have a hard time making it happen.
I think that is uh, extremely accurate for everything in life. If you don't have a vision of where you want to go, whatever it is,
Yeah.
you're not going to get there. You're just going to sit
Right.
there and,
Hazy, was it
hang out in the struggle
hazy
bus.
goals, hazy results?
Yeah, right, right. Yeah. Well, this was wonderful. I am so thankful to be reminded of, decluttering and a new way of kind of looking at your space and how important it can be. I mean, to me, yes, I've totally bought in. I want it, yes, I want to get rid of everything. but but it's fun to remind yourself that if you do spend the time and energy making your space feel more like what you're hoping for, that's going to re-energize or distribute the energy or create more openness in your life, no matter what it was. So I am really thankful for this time with you.
Thank you
And
for
you,
having me. It's fun.
yeah, and you will, it was really my honor. So you will let us know, you'll send me the link for the 3-day challenge and I'll be able to pop that in here, right?
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
I'll get that to you right.
Wonderful. And then do you have a specific website you want to, you're going to send it to me, but do you want to list it out here?
Well, currently I actually am running everything through a Facebook group and all my programs are available there. There's a lot of actually free programming too, just sort of like, fun. We kind of shoot the crap about about interior design. It's just, it's fun. So all the information is there. So I'll get you that as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Jennifer. I know that for those who haven't had a chance to watch yet, this is one of those things where it's like, yes, another reminder from the universe that this is what I need to do because it's going to benefit me. So thank you so much for your time.
You're very, very welcome.
All right. Bye, guys.
Thank you.